Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 0026, yet another early morning. Why? Well, because, fun fact, if I said that the internet was slow yesterday, today was a whole other, kettle of beans. It was an entire different ballpark to play with. And why am I saying that? Well, because I started uploading my video at around 1 o'clock, I would like to say, 1:30, somewhere around there. And then I went to sleep. My computer wasn't on the entire night. I had the charging in, so it didn't die. It didn't go into sleep mode. Woke up in the morning, about 40% done. That was a bit horrifying in a way, because I was thinking, I might not be able to upload this video in 24 hours. How am I then going to deal with the daily upload schedule? But it worked after all. Around 5:30 to 6 in the afternoon/evening, just the same time as it did yesterday. But that was because, yet again, it had, processed overnight. That took me around 12 to 14 hours today. While yesterday took me 12, so I don't like where this is going, the increased amount of time. Hopefully that's just, temporary, and it's all gonna solve itself, right, mates? It's all gonna be fine and dandy in the end. But I was just thinking that, I might as well share it, because simultaneously I'm doing this. Normally I'm thinking about making a video about, let's say, 2 hours a day. Now it's more like 24 hours a day, because I need to make it, and then I need to make sure, is it uploading? Has it uploaded? If it has uploaded, should I go in and edit it? Should I go in and add some tags, some text to it? And you can do all of that in advance, but if it crashes, it feels like, why should I do all of that in advance? Instead I just add a thumbnail, add it in the playlist, and then off we go. But that is not why you're here, mates. No, it's not. You're here because we're gonna lay up a bit of a serve today, right? A serve that we're gonna smash on for tomorrow's video, because tomorrow's video is actually what I want to talk about. Not giving away the spoiler, well, I should actually. It's about kids, yeah. About them small humans, And it's gonna be about gambling, because gambling is a thing that I quite don't like myself. I know that there are different types of gambling, so I'm just going to today introduce, gambling, what is it, my point of view about gambling, and I'm saying a fact/myth about it that we're going to discuss. So there are some different parts of gambling. It's just gonna move myself here so I know my structure, because I actually, for once, have some keywords to follow, even though I'm gonna read off my iPad, or my tab. I have some keywords to read off here, even though I'm gonna go with my tablet for the definition. So there are two different types of gambling, right? And we're gonna handle the first type. So the first type is the activity or practice of playing at a game of chance for money or other stakes. That is the one we're going to discuss today. Now, before you get in on the comments and be a comment warrior, I'm just going to mention the second one so you know what we're not going to discuss. The act or practice of risking the loss of something important by taking a chance or acting recklessly. Now, people can say that, basically that is the same, and that is the same because it's just two very, there are two varied definitions of the same word. Of course, that is what we're going to discuss, but we're mainly going to focus about the first thing that we said, the activity or practice of playing at a game of chance for money or other stakes, because generally that is what you think about when you think about gambling. And then we're going to show you a bit of a fact that I found here, or if it is a fact or a myth, but nevertheless, even if it's a myth, there was about, just Google, some interesting business topics, because, had nothing better to do on the loose, so to say. And I read through all of these. It was about 58. I believe it's the first topic that you find if you go to Google. And these are supposed to be facts, but you have to be thinking critically, right? You should be thinking, is this actually facts? Can I check these? I didn't find a fast way of checking it, so I just took it as facts/myths. There might be some that are facts. There might be some things in there that, people haven't actually checked 100%. Especially when it comes to, they had lots of facts about how much money a certain company was making per hour or per day. And when I saw those figures, I was just like, when was this made? Can this still, does it stand up in today's, court to today's time, so to say. Is it the same type of company? Different facts like that. Now, I did find some facts that I know are correct for a fact. For instance, that Ben & Jerry is owned by Unilever, which was part of my, my project long ago now. So last year, I know all them jokes. But I'm just going to read the fact or slash the myth that I found. That is, gambling generates more revenue, so clear revenue, than movies, spectator sports, theme parks, cruise ships, and record music combined. Now, if that is true, that's terrific, in a way. Not that it's such a big industry that it drags in so much money, but because why it's such a big industry and why it's dragging in that much money. Do you get the difference there? That it just is a big industry, something that I completely back. I think that big industries are good overall. Now, most people quite don't agree with me on that, but I would argue that, big industries are good in the long run. However, right, it needs to be a big industry because it's a good thing, not a big industry that exploits people and individuals, which tends to be what most large industries are. But yeah, the gambling industry, so to say, is not something that I particularly like, and I go into that in the end there. But after reading this fact, then it's not a wonder in the world, because I always sit and watch TV, and I have no wonder anymore why this is the case. I see some commercials about going on a trip, take this charter company and go on a trip. We booked a flight for you, we booked a hotel for you, a couple of those, yeah. Then there are a couple of movie trailers, as you saw in the fact that I just read. But then there are like easily in the 10-minute span or 5-minute span between two different parts of a movie. For instance, on TV, you get this part of commercial, right, that we kind of discussed yesterday, the commercial marketing part. But easily 15 out of 20 of those, at least in Sweden where I live in, right, are about gambling. And that is something that, I always found be very strange. But after seeing this fact, if it do generate more money than all of those other industries combined, then I kind of understand why they have the resources and the money to actually show them on TV. Now, what is kind of interesting to me, or kind of distressing in a way, is that there are so many different companies that are taking part in this big industry that are making enough profit that they can actually go out and, well, market themselves on TV, because that costs quite a lot of money. I know that the price probably got sunk a bit because you have all of the online marketing, and TV needs to actually compete with online marketing, so they probably lowered the price. Not that I'm actually into that kind of stuff, so don't take my word for it. It's just an interesting point of view to take up when you discuss this as well, because it is a part of why so many different online companies are actually making marketing on TV. But yeah, it was so mind-boggling to me that all of these gambling sites, or all of these gambling networks or corporations, are actually able to make good money, even though 15 out of 20 commercials on TV, late at night, because we have a bit of an age restriction on the marketing in Sweden, are actually about gambling. Now, I don't know, because of the age restriction, that they only, so to say, have to buy the later times. That might be why. But still, it's a huge problem in my opinion, right, in my mind, because not because it's a big industry. Yet again, I'm backing big industries, right? But why it is a big industry? You're basically like fooling people, because there is such things as gambling addictions. Another thing that we need to raise awareness of in this video, not raise awareness of, even though, we should. But there are things in here that we need to carry over to tomorrow's video. So I'm just going to say that there are lots of people who are suffering from active gambling addiction, and a gambling addiction is just like any other addiction. It's basically like if you're smoking, maybe you have a smoking addiction, you can't quit, you can't stop, you're finding yourself being controlled of smoking, you're not controlling the smoking. The same thing goes for, drugs, so to say. If you take them unrestricted and outside of a doctor's recommendation, and if you keep taking them even though at the doctor's recommendation, even though the doctor isn't recommending you to take them anymore, or if you just into alcohol, so to say, even though I would classify that as a drug, because if alcohol was introduced today, it probably wouldn't pass the legal requirements, but it's just so intricate part of our society today, so we can't actually get rid of it. Anyway, there are many people with different aspects of thinking about that, but gambling addiction is actually one big thing going into these addictions. Why is gambling addiction important? Well, because tomorrow we're going to talk about kids and how we're lowering the smartphone levels, and people are getting smartphones when they're younger, and gaming and loot boxes and other things that can be considered gambling. But to actually introduce that, we need to talk about what is gambling addiction. Gambling addiction is just like tobacco addiction. It's that you're feeling controlled by gambling. Your gambling is controlling you more than you are controlling the gambling. And what is gambling? Well, basically it just means, as we stated in the beginning of the video, that you're trying with high risk and high stakes, trying to win over money in the, in favor of odds. So you betting one thing against someone else's, and now you feel like you can't stop because you're doing it every Sunday. Maybe you're doing it once a month, then you're doing it once every Sunday, twice a month, and once every Sunday, 4 times a month, and 2 times a week, and then 4 times a week, and then all of a sudden you're doing it every day, every hour of your waking life. And that's when you find people standing at different cafes or whatever, watching TV, swearing, drinking beer at the same time, all of that jazz. I'm not saying that drinking beer is not in correlation or connection with gambling in any way, shape, or form, even though it probably is, but there are obviously other reasons to drink, not only gambling, but it was just an example. You have to be politically correct in today's society, right? Otherwise you get jumped for the smallest inconvenience, right? But it is from these type of movements, let's say, that you get these type of people that are just standing around or gambling every day, and it is an active problem. So what is my opinion about this? My opinion about gambling overall is that it's actually kind of a problem, and that gambling isn't such a good thing overall. I think that it is legalized, because if it was illegal, so to say, it would be a big problem about how people are actually getting their money back. And I know that there are illegal things that are involved with gambling. I've even been invited to many of those, not many, but some of these things where people are saying let's gamble, and it's not strictly legal, but how it goes. In these types of cases, there are a lot of insecurity from the people who are loaning you money, or from you actually know that you will get money back, or actually trading money, in that it can end with physical abuse and with no repercussions, because it's illegal, so you can't actually go ask for help if something messes up. I believe that is why gambling is legal to begin with. Do I believe that gambling is a good thing that should stay? No, absolutely not. I do not like gambling personally. I think that it's quite a bad thing, even though some people are going to say, but hey mate, if you're actually on the stock market, which I'm not, even though I'm preaching economics, right? I can't take watching my money either rise or fall rapidly. I need a constant growth or a constant decrease to actually plan my life around it. I'm saying this now, but I will probably change in the future, just bear with me. But yeah, gambling is actually, in my opinion, a really bad thing, because it kind of lures people into this type of addiction. Even though everybody doesn't fall into an addiction, it's still the possibility is there. And I know that many people are going to say, well, are you going to take away drugs and tobacco and drugs in such as there shouldn't be any drugs, but there unfortunately are. But drugs for medical purposes, of course, they should stay. Would you like to take away alcohol and tobacco and gambling? Then what is fun in life? If that's your opinion, mate, I would argue that, well, maybe you should reconsider what you believe is funny. And it's just because you are managing it in a healthy dose doesn't mean that everybody does, right? It doesn't mean that all people in the world actually can manage this, and some people who are, what should we say to not step on anyone's toes here? I would like to say weaker-minded, but keep that in a big parentheses. I'm not meaning weaker-minded as idiots. It just means some people have apparently or at least I've heard or seen, been told, an easier way of getting addicted to things. So if that is the case, then shouldn't we protect them by just getting rid of it? Anyway, that's just my opinion about gambling. Is gambling anything good? Objectively, I have no clue. Subjectively, from my side, no, I don't think so. I don't think that gambling is a good thing. Is it good that it's legalized since it exists? Yes, I do believe it's important that it is legalized because it exists. And because it's not something that is punished by any harsh punishments if it was illegalized. As far as I know, it probably is though. Yeah, it probably is. So take that back. But you know what I mean. I think it's a good thing that it is legalized, just like prostitution is in Sweden, because then you can actually go and get help if something tends to happen. Not that prostitution perhaps is something that is good, but because it can lead to other things, it's such an entryway to many bad things according to many people. Now, I don't have the personal experience yet again, but I would kind of categorize gambling in the same way, that we're legalizing it because then you can actually go and get help and you can have repercussions on things. Whew, but that's probably not that important moving into tomorrow's topic. So basically, what I would like you to take away from this action is that gambling is making quite a lot of money. gambling is legalized because it's bad if it is illegalized. Gambling is, according to me, subjectively bad, so you should keep that in mind going forward with tomorrow's video, because I have an opinion, and that's probably going to cross over and taint the view of what it is and with tomorrow's discussion. And tomorrow we're going to talk about kids and not grown-ups, which is actually the real thing that I want to talk about. More about online gambling. So have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow with tomorrow's video. So have a nice one.